welcome. It's Captain Matt, Boater Secret Weapon. I want to thank you for joining us for this Sunday night live. We're getting ready to start here in just a couple of minutes here. We'll start about 8:30, but I wanted to welcome you. If you've never been to a live, here's what you can expect. Just go ahead and chat in your comment section, whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on YouTube. Just ask your question, leave your comment there, and then as we go through the time, I just kind of scroll down all the comments and I try to answer them. Now, if it's something that I need to ask you a question, I may ask you a question and just put it in the chat again, and I'll come back and I'll get that information so I can give you a more personalized response, something that's going to really add value for you. This is just something I do. One, it's great fun. I really enjoy it. It's helpful for the community. Just sharing my knowledge. Now, one thing that you need to know, I don't know everything about boats. I know a lot about boats. I've been a boater since I was 5. I've sold boats. It's something that is a big part of my life. With that said, I don't know everything. Matter of fact, sailboats, have zero experience with sailboats. Bass boats, very little experience there. Bow riders, deck boats, center consoles, jet boats, twin engines, stern drives, outboards, inboards, all of that I have experience with. And if I have an answer, I'll give you my best answer. If I don't have an answer, I'll try to give you a resource that will be valuable for you. If I have an opinion, I'll try to give you that opinion, but let you know this is what I think, not what I absolutely know. So I look forward to it. Here's a little video intro that a subscriber made for me. Thanks, Bo. And we'll see you on the live when it kicks off here in just a moment. See, I had the technical difficulties again. I was hoping I could get started today without being all messed up. But hopefully everybody's doing good. Hopefully you guys had a great weekend. I went to the lake, did a little bit of filming today, which was nice to get out on the water and do a little filming. It was chilly, but warmer than it has been for a while. So I will take that. Let's see here. I feel like I'm off center for some reason. There we go. That's why my camera is on the opposite end of my screen. So I'm gonna move that down. So anyway, you guys are doing good. Looks like we got a good crew with us today. Ray hopped on. Good to have you. Bo, just found out recently my hometown of Kelso is the birthplace of Tallycraft. Very nice. Did not know that. Kelso. Mike, good to have you back. Kings of the City, welcome. Rob, good to have you. Brock, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Hopefully you'll update us on the search. See how that's coming. Matt, boating, baby. Yeah, it is time. It's getting there. Just got back from snowboarding with the fam. Much needed break. That family time is some of the best time. We did last night. Well, for Christmas, my wife gave our family 12 envelopes, and every envelope is something to do, and we call it family fun night. So last night, a couple weeks ago, we went to for December, or what was the January, went to escape room. And then this month we went bowling and sushi. So we went and had a bunch of really good sushi, and then went to the bowling alley and threw a couple of games. I didn't break 100 my first outing. That was kind of embarrassing, but I got I think I was like 140 or something like that for the second game. But my wife only remembered the game that she beat me. So family nights are always a good time. Got that's like 3 feet of snow, 3 inches of snow yesterday, 56 today. That's the right trend. Let's get warmer weather coming. Warmer in central Indiana. We're getting there. 50s and 60s. Yep. Matt, I was out at Lake Wiley today doing some filming, and it was nice. The wind was going a little bit, but it was pretty nice. Low 40s, 50s in Washington. BC, good to have you. Jason, 211. Hopefully Michaela's with you. Yep, hit that like button for sure. Jeffrey Dunn, looking at an 07 Lund Pro V tiller. Know anything about these or what to look for? Yeah, so Lund is going to be in the more premium level category in the aluminum. The Pro V tiller, they're all built similar. So one, it's a 15, 17-year-old boat. Okay, so you need to check out that Mercury engine, whatever it's got. You didn't say what size it is, but whatever's Merc on there. Make sure you're checking compression. Make sure you're checking the oil, the gear lube, getting service records if they have them. If they did some of the wrenching themselves, that's okay. Just try to get as much as you can. Check the prop. Check the prop shaft. Make sure that they didn't ding that up. I'm assuming it's a prop boat and not a jet outboard, but check all of those things. Check compression. Make sure that thing is firing strong on all cylinders. And then the structure of the boat. So this is going to be critical on an aluminum boat is you want to check that transom. So you want to kind of grab that tiller and sort of shake it. And you're looking for flex in the transom. Flex in transom is not good. If you do see a little bit of flex, then you want to start digging further. You want to start seeing, hey, is maybe there's some rot in the back plating on that. So the way they build the aluminum boats is they've got aluminum, but they're sandwiching some material, probably plywood. But in 07, it would have been 7-layer marine grade plywood, I'm guessing. I'm not sure if they use a different material, but you're checking for that flex. You're making sure that it's solid. The next thing you want to do is you want to go around and you want to check all of the welds and the rivets. The Lund, what is the Lund using? I think Lund's using rivets on those. And but you're just checking to make sure. Let me pull up a 2007 Lund Pro V. So we'll pull this up here. Let me share my screen. Why am I don't know what's going on with my angle here. There we go. So when you start looking at the Lund, you'll see that let's see if we can get a little bit better. You can see the rivets there. So you want to go through and you're checking for like multiple rivets in a row that are missing. There's some rivets missing. I would almost bet money on it that there's some rivets missing. But what you're looking for is there a series of rivets missing? Are there rivets missing on the hull under the water line? If so, can you get there to re-rivet it? Maybe, maybe not. But those are some of the things you're looking for. The other thing you're looking for is corrosion and any pitting in the metal that might be indicative that there's some pinholes in the aluminum somewhere, and so you want to check that as well. The other thing that you want to look at is there other equipment with the boat? So trolling motor, is that in good condition? Electronics, or is there a Garmin? Is there a Lowrance? Is there some sort of fish finder that is coming with it. Is that in good condition? What's the cover look like? What's the kicker look like if it's got a kicker? All of those types of things that you want to look at. And then even on a tiller handle boat, maybe a smaller, you didn't say what size it was, but a 50, 75, 90 maybe even, you want to get that boat out of the water and run it. You definitely want to put it in the water. That's going to tell you, are those rivets, are they letting any water in anywhere? Okay. It's likely that it's letting a smidgen of water in. It's the nature of some of these riveted aluminum boats as they age. A little bit of water, I'm okay with. A lot of water, like, if you can see a little bit starting to pool in the bilge, and it's a minute amount, not enough to catch the bilge pump on. Okay, let's see if we can find out where it's coming from. But it's kind of the nature of them as they age, and those rivets, things adjust a little bit. If it's a lot, hey, now you've got an issue potentially on your hand that might be walking away. Those are the things. There's not like, oh, hey, on the 07 Lunds, this is what you need to look out for. There's nothing I know like that, but those are just the things that you want to look out for on an aluminum fishing boat. Make sure that it's a good solid boat, that's sort of the walk around. I've got a video on it that it will walk you through. I think let's see here, aluminum fish. Yeah. So there is a video on the channel, 26 minutes long, how to buy a used aluminum fishing boat. It's 4 years old. The information's still the same, so you can check that out. D just joined the workshop deal. Awesome. Congratulations. Welcome to the community. Glad that you joined us here. If you've got a question, D, just throw it in the chat. You can kind of see how it's going. And I scroll down and just get to them as they come in. If you make a donation or a contribution, it'll notify me, and I'll try to get to yours next after I finish up the one I'm on. So welcome. Glad that you're here with us, or feel free just to sit back and listen in. That's fine too. We've got folks that do both. Herb, bent like a pretzel all day, but great success. I was like, all right, yeah, I knew he was in the engine compartment somewhere. New alternator installed, some other maintenance done. Just rolling here in Florida. Yeah, you guys, I don't know what the weather's like down there, but I'm guessing that you are on the water very, very soon, if not already. So that is awesome. Also, I just wanted to thank Herb and Matt. They are supporting members on the YouTube channel. I think they were both at Admiral level, and I appreciate that so much. The financial support. If you go to the channel, I don't know if it'll show. I don't think it'll show the names. I'm not going to go into the back end, but if you go into the memberships, you can become a member. And it's just a way to support the free information that we put out there. You can also, invest in any of the programs that we have, another way to support it. And I always try to deliver value. So definitely, I noticed you guys' names in there. It popped up the other day, and just wanted to say thanks for that. Brock, let's see, finished washing the Sportsman, went on the harbor cruise this afternoon in 60s. Kids are ready for a boat ride. The kids are getting antsy as well. That is hey, listen, Brock's got a couple of kids, and anytime that you can get the kids saying, I want to spend more time with mom and dad, is a win in my book. And I know boating did that for me as a kid. I actually, in my new book, it's available on Amazon and in online booksellers. But in my book, in the dedication to my parents, I talk about. Oh, this is the old one. Let me grab. So my new book, Boat Buyer's Secret Weapon: Avoid Expensive, Frustrating, Embarrassing Blunders Buying a New or Used Boat. So you can see this is my family, and that's my dedication to my mom and dad. But that's me, probably, I don't know, early 20s maybe. Um, and it was that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to go, even in college. We wanted to meet mom and dad at the lake because they were on the boat. We would bring some friends out, and they got to know our friends. It was just, even as a college kid, that was something that we did as a family, and it's I think it brings you together. 60s today. Jace 211 is on Lake Cumberland in Kentucky. Him and Michaela. Chop at the bit to get out the summer boat, still in the shop getting maintenance done. Told them not to hurry. Yeah, it's still February. It's there'll be a couple of nice days, and but get it done right. Just get that thing back by the end of March, and then you'll be ready to rock and roll. Let's see, Jeffrey Dune, 1800, 18-foot, newer 2015 Yamaha 75 outboard. So a lot newer motor. Yeah, that's awesome. When you can get the newer motor. I mean, structurally, aluminum boats, fiberglass boats, they've got a long lifespan if they're well taken care of. As long as they're not, you don't get electrolysis on the aluminum stuff where you start to get pinholes in. It's not we'll say a real cheap manufacturer where the rivets are just popping out or the welds are just cracking, and there's water coming in. They're pretty darn durable, right? That's one of the values, especially of the aluminum, is you can bang them around a pretty good bit. Fiberglass, if you take care of those, as long as you're not hitting rocks or anything, a fiberglass hull will last 50 years if you can keep them dry, keep them from delaminating, keep that rot from happening. And so that's awesome. Hopefully that's helpful. Yeah, that's nice having a 75 Yamaha with a 2015 on that. I guess Mercury, because that's the only way it came from the factory. But when you repower, all bets are off. So do double check. Well, I guess it's a tiller, so it doesn't matter. I was just going to say double check the cabling and the steering, but you don't have any of that. So on the tiller. Let's see, John Boat Nation and stuff. Welcome, new name. Welcome to the group. Trying to get a good price for a Sea-Doo switch or a Tahoe. Know a good dealership in Georgia or close by. Not John Boat Nation. Not off the top of my head. I will tell you though that I drive by the Bass Pro Shop on the way to the lake today, and I was gonna stop in, but I ended up being at the lake longer than anticipated. That always happens. I should know better. So I didn't stop by on the way back like I was going to. But I will tell you, every single switch dealer that I've driven by, looked at online, they got a lot of switches out there. So I would be in high level negotiation mode. I would be looking at the dealers in my market area. I would look at specifically if you're going to go with the switch. Now, know what you're getting. Know that you can't leave that boat in the water. If you're going to leave it in the water for even a couple weeks at a time, you're going to be sadly disappointed with the growth, with the way the bottom is sort of layered and it's not fully enclosed. You want to stay away. But if you know what you're getting into, you like the sportiness, you like the handling, you like the handlebar steering, you like that quick acceleration. If that's for you, I've got people that have bought those and are loving them. I've got others that I've talked to that have bought those and are super disappointed. So make sure you follow the break-in period properly. Do break-in exactly as they say. Read the instruction manual. It's such a new boat that there's little dumb things like can't leave it in the water for extended periods of time that they tell you, but not every dealer knows those details because they never took the time to read the manual for the client. So if you go that route, read the full manual, follow the full break-in procedure, all of that. But there's a huge opportunity to negotiate based on what I'm seeing in the inventory levels in those boats. Okay. Now, if you get some of the higher horsepower, the bigger ones, it depends, but it's been pretty consistent on the Tahoes. Those are going to be mainly in Georgia. I don't know any tracker marine dealers specifically in Georgia. Depends on where you're at. If you're around Atlanta, but I think most of those are Bass Pros. But yeah, just go online, do your search for dealers around your market area where you're comfortable driving for warranty work. Go ahead, look at their inventory online. If you see a high level, walk into the dealership and start negotiating. See where you're going to be. You have to do a little bit of legwork, but it will pay off with discounts and with extras. We'll say. I talk about it in the Boat Buyers Academy, the Magic Money Saving Method, how to negotiate a little bit extra at a dealer's if you're going new. So, well, good luck with that. Let us know how it goes. Um, Oh, you're welcome, Jeffrey. Very, very, very welcome. Let us know how it goes. Send me pictures. I always love getting pictures when subscribers buy boats, and I like to see what people are getting. It's always fun, especially as the season starts, and I see them out on the water having a good time with the family and stuff. So I love that. Let's see. Next Saturday, club tournament starts. So if you don't know, Brock had not only does he have the Sportsman, which is kind of their family fun boat, go to the sandbars, do some tubing, go to the restaurants, and just doing harbor cruisers. But he also is I'm going to say a serious fisherman, but a really, really good serious fisherman, like winning club tournaments, winning big tournaments, fairly consistently, ending up in the money. So he also has a bass boat. Well, had a bass boat, sold it, and is on the lookout for a new one. As far as I know, I don't think he's found it yet. So can't wait. Still fishing Dad's boat. Okay, there we go. I just got to finish reading the comment. So he's on the hunt for the right one, and being patient, which is smart, super smart when you're going pre-owned, especially this time of year. If you find something, everything lines up, take action. But hey, if it takes you another month or two, that's okay too. That boat will show itself, and just inspect it. Make sure you're buying a boat that you're going to be happy with for the next several years, versus one that you can be like, damn, there's hidden things that I didn't catch that you should have. So, TC Drone, welcome. I haven't seen your name for a while. Near 60 in Northern Illinois, dreaming about boating, hopefully early April. Nice. Let's see, Matt, just over the border, Wisconsin. Yeah, it's sometimes it'll tease you, and then it'll go back. We get a little bit of snow in February, March, but hopefully the season is nearing. Mike, take my sea trial this Friday. There's a 239 Ultra Sea Hunt. Dealer received it last Wednesday. That, you know what? I know you get antsy. This is for all you new boat buyers that are ordering, or you're getting the boat sent in. The fact that the boat's there and they didn't just call you and say, "Hey, Mike, come get it," it's taken a couple of days. It's actually a good thing. I know you want to get your hands on that boat, get on the water, but what they're doing is they're doing their PDI, their pre-delivery inspection. They've got a huge checklist that they need to do. Then maybe they're getting the canvas put up on the T-top. Maybe they're definitely putting the battery in. Maybe they're putting oil. They're putting fuel in. They're taking that boat on the water and doing the first shakedown. A tech is taking it out there and running it for 20, 30 minutes, maybe a little bit longer. Just making sure they're running all the pumps, they're turning on the electronics, they're firing everything up, cycling everything through, going through and, opening hatches and latches, and just one last inspection. And most important, put that thing on the water and running it, so that when you take delivery, hopefully they found another 2 or 3 little things that maybe got missed at the factory. So when you take delivery, you don't have to worry about that. That's a good dealer. I know some people get too antsy and they're like, "I just want the boat." Like, you don't. You're better off waiting 3, 5, 6, 7 days. It shouldn't take them too much longer than that, but that's actually a good thing, and it means they're probably going to be a really good dealer to work with. So can't wait to see that one, Mike. Congratulations. Hey, perfect timing. Weather's warming up. Boat's there. With you, April. Let's see. A few miles north of Lake Geneva. I love when there's little side conversations going. 80s by Wednesday here in Madeira Beach, Florida. Nice. D, that is perfect. Now I don't remember if you said you got in one of the just got in the workshop now. So hopefully if you're searching for a boat or if you just got one and you're in that the 80s is nice. That is the time to get out there. I live on the chain. Let's see here. Jernomi 21, looking at a 23, 24-foot outboard deck boat, Chaparral, Regal, Sea Ray. Any thoughts between those three? So one is they're all three in the premium level. Okay. So I would put, if I was going to rank them, all right, if I was going to rank them, I would say Chaparral, Regal, real close. Um, Sea Ray, the Sea Ray SPX. If it's a 230 SPX, I'm going to put that slightly down. Okay. If it's the SDX, their Sun Deck model, I don't even know if they do a 230 actually. So it probably is the SPX. Then I would put it up in the same, but I don't. Let me double check before I start. Keep talking. Sea Ray SDX 230. Yeah, okay. So it is the SPX. So the SPXs, they're not up to the same level in quality in my inspection as the SDX and the SLX. So the SDX, the SLX would match up with the Chaparral and the Regals. Okay, the SPX, they're cutting a few things. They do a few things different. Namely, they're still building them in Mexico, which isn't bad in and of itself, but just the quality that you're seeing out of the Mexico factories is just not up to the level as what you're seeing coming out of the Tennessee facilities. Okay. Now, with that said, depends on where you're at and who your dealer is. So I will say this every time if you're buying a new boat, is the dealer is as important, if not a touch more important, than the brand within the same bucket of quality levels. So if you're looking premium, you're looking Sea Ray, Chaparral, Regal. If you're looking in that top level, then it's the dealer that you really want to make sure is location wise, they're close by. They're going to be convenient for you to get warranty work and service work if you need to bring the boat in. Two, they have a great reputation. You get along with them. You have a good relationship. Personally, you can check their Google reviews. You can talk to their past customers. You can go on to Facebook groups and ask about experiences, knowing that the angriest people are going to be the loudest. So take that in consideration. Some people make dumb mistakes and blame it on the dealers. Take that in consideration. Walk the docks. Look for people that have newer of that brand boat. What's your experience with ABC dealership? That's a great way to zero in, because frankly, if you were to buy any of those three boats, maybe that SPX, I'll take that one slightly out, because there is a difference that you'll notice in the quality of the build. But if you were to run the Regal and you were to run the Chaparral, one right after each other, you wouldn't be able to say this one's better. Like you would run them both and you'd be like, those were both damn nice, right? Even run the Sea Ray, you'd be like, that's really, really nice. Wouldn't be damn nice, but it'd be really, really nice. It'd be close, but you could pick out a few little things that you're like, I like that better, but it's going to be slightly less expensive, would be my guess, depending on what kind of discounts you're getting on the Chaparral and the Regal. So that's the way I look at it: is the layout, which is there a layout that you really like better? But the dealer is the one that I would separate in your particular area. If you want to tell me the area, I may know the dealer. Probably not. There's just too many of them. But if I know anything good or bad about them, I'll tell you. And just put that in the chat. Let's see here. Good evening. I'm Brazilian and always enjoyed watching your channel. Do you have any opinion about the new pocket cruiser Bayliner just released? You know what? I don't. I know it because Bo Saint in your let's see, Bayliner trophy pilot house. We looked at it. Matter of fact, we looked at it last week, I think, and it looks nice. But I have not seen one in person. I know up in the Northeast, up in the Northwest, that these type of pilot houses are much more common. I'm down in the Carolinas, and they're more common because the weather can get kind of nasty, and you're going to run through some rain and some haze and some mist in those areas at times. And having that pilot house gives you more protection. Now, where I am in the Carolinas, the weather is gonna, if it's that type of weather, it's gonna be, you're probably not gonna go out pleasure boating, right? And so in our area, they're just not as common, they're not as popular as they are in the Northeast and the Northwest in the US. Brazil, I don't know enough about the boating area there. My gut tells me if that everything's on the coast, right? Well, I guess it depends where you're at. I was just thinking that there's a ton of coastline there, but it kind of depends on where you are. The more, here's what I would say is Marin Hyro is what I'll call you. I hope I'm saying that close to right. But the more like rainy and cooler and misty, the better I think that style of boat is, just as a type of boat, as a style. Not taking that it's a Bayliner trophy out. Just that style is usually a better fit for those type of climates. As far as the Bayliner, I would venture to say it's built similar to the other Bayliners, where it's a value level where, hey, it's a nice boat. It's going to be safe. It's going to be reliable with the Merc on it, but it's not going to be as expensive or as solidly built as some other brands. Like Parker comes to mind, like the Parker Pilot House. It's not going to be as solid as a Parker, but it's going to be a nice, safe, reliable boat. So that's about all I can comment on it. And again, not knowing specifically where you're going to be running it, it's hard to say kind of how it fits. But those are some thoughts around there. Hopefully that's valuable on that. Yeah, I don't have anything. There's a crazy amount of switches leaving factory daily. They're just down there. Interesting. So like, if we go to, I'm just going to assume that you're in Atlanta. Atlanta boat dealer switch. So Mountain Motorsport in Marietta. So if we look at their inventory, yeah, this is kind of what I was thinking. So inventory, we're going to look at new. We're going to look at Sea-Doo, and we're going to look at boat. Yeah, hopefully that will give us what we want. All right, so when we look, and this is one of the things I like to do, and we're going to sort by year, old to new. So I don't know if Mountain Motorsport is near you or not. I will tell you that typically power sports dealers discount their boats quicker and more than a boat dealer. Boat dealers tend to have a little bit more overhead and like to hold more margin than the power sports dealers, just in general. But look at this. 2023 retail 37.4, our price 29.9. So $8,000 discount. One, two, three. That's not bad. Three 2023 is still there. 18, 18, and 21, all with the 230 horsepower. So it's going to depend a little bit on these. No discounts on the 2024. So that's what I like to look at is how are they sitting for inventory? I saw there was another one that Atlanta Marine. I don't think they carry switches. Sea-Doo. And I would just look around in your area and see kind of what's out there. I guess we'll say boats. There we go. Most relevant. Oldest to newest. Let's see. 2023, 2023, 2023, 2023, 2023. Yeah, they've got a lot more 23s and 21, 21, 21. That 21 with the 230 is interesting. There's the other dealer had quite a few of those. 19 with the 170, 21 with the 130. It looks like they're all blue. 21 with the 130, 21 with the 130. And that's 42, and they've got it down to 38.8. So they're what, $2,000 more, $1,500 more. So that's interesting. That would be how I start kind of searching if that's valuable. But yeah, that's interesting that they're shipping them out there. From the inventory levels I'm seeing, I'm going to say they're getting in a overproduction level, if that's true, that they're really still just pumping them out. But I'm seeing a lot of them. Ellis Marine in Brunswick would be delighted to help. Okay, Rod. So Ellis Marine, Brunswick, Georgia. So inventory. Okay, so they are a tracker dealer there at Ellis, and I believe Rod, I believe that we have talked once or twice, if I remember right. And Rod is the owner down there at Ellis. So he's got, looks like just 24s, the T16, the T18 on the Tahoe. Let's see if there's any listed as tracker. Oh, there we go. Okay, so looks like all 24s. And when I'm driving by the Bass Pros, I'm just seeing, I'm just driving by the outside, so I haven't gone in. But from what I can see from the interstate is just the Sun Tracker pontoons that I'm seeing a number of. But again, another thing to keep in mind as you're looking at inventory, I can't see what years they are. It's February, March, April. This is when the dealers should be at their highest level, right? They're trying to get all these boats in so they can sell them throughout the summer. And so they should be at super high levels of inventory. The one of the areas where I was filming is a Yamaha jet boat dealer, and they had probably 8 in there, 12, couple in the shore. They probably had 15 or more Yamaha jet boats. It seems like a lot because every other time I've walked in there, they've had virtually zero. So now, as we're seeing inventory in dealers that didn't have it in the past, it seems like they're sitting heavy, but they may or may not be, depending on how many of those are 23s and how many of those are 24s. So, Rod, thanks for offering that up. If that is a connection that can be made there. Not sure which dealer up here carries switch. There are a bunch on the, yeah, okay, yeah. So Dan, I was at Lake Wiley today, so I'm nearby, and I noticed the Lake Norman Power Sports, I think is who it is. They had 3 switches at the Charlotte show. Lake Norman Power Sports. And CD Watercraft. And it's very dealer by dealer. Some dealers manage their inventory incredibly well. Others, others got pushed into over ordering. And I say pushed in because I think the manufacturers are somewhat the manufacturer reps are somewhat complicit in pushing too much inventory on dealers. Yeah, so they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Looks like 7 23s of the switches up at Lake Norman, and 31 in stock. That seems like an awful lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, okay. All right. That's not bad. 7 out of 31. So, and what is that? 30% of their inventory is 23s. That's not terrible. Maybe a little bit heavier than a dealer I would want to be sitting after the boat show. But maybe some of them are spoken for after the show. So interesting. You're welcome, John Boat Nation. Can we get to 40 likes? There you go, BC. Let's get those likes pumped up. I appreciate that. Should I wait till winter to buy a boat? It depends. It's winter right now. It's still February. Boat shows kicked off. Maybe your area's had them, but do you want a boat this year or not? Inventories are like, here's what I think is going to happen. I think dealers are, I'm sorry, I think manufacturers are cutting their production as we speak. So they're pumping out the 2024s through, they started building them in, we'll call it August, right? Somewhere around there, August. So now they've been building for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, almost, we'll call it 7 months. They've been building 24s. They're scaling it back because they're looking at their dealer inventory and they're saying, okay, we're sitting a little heavier than we want. So they might be cutting production lines. They might be just running, short shifts. They may be cutting down a whole line of production just to manage the level. So when they get to June, July of next year, and they start to have conversations with the dealers about, all right, what do you want to look like for the 2025 orders? They want to be able to build 2025s and not oversaturate the market. So they're going to look to see, did we put enough incentives on those boats to move the 2023s out so that, hey, we got good levels of inventory going into 4th of July, essentially, so that we can start talking what's 2025 going to look like. I don't think it's going to get worse, right? So I don't think the inventory levels are going to get higher. I think the manufacturers are going to cut production. Even if the economy does slow down, I don't know that that's happening. I did a market update about a month ago. I don't know. It seems to me from the comments on my channels, from the emails I'm getting from people saying I'm buying, it seems to me that's still going pretty well. The election, that time of year or that cycle makes dealers nervous because there's all this uncertainty. Which way is the election going to go? What's that going to do to the economy? What's that going to do to the confidence of the consumer? And so they get a little bit, okay, let's slow it down a little bit. They don't get super aggressive in ordering in an election cycle typically. But I don't see us getting in a situation where next year in December, we're talking about, holy crap, these dealers are just overwhelmed with some 2023s, a whole bunch of 2024s, and the manufacturers are pushing 2025s on them. So I don't think there's going to be bigger, better discounts then. And if you want to boat this year, get out of the water and boat this year because it's still a good time to buy. The the discounts are going to last as long as there's 2023s on the lot, and really until we get to May. You're in the South, so until we get to early May, the weather's still not boating weather for most people. When we start getting 70s and 80s consistently, now the summer buying market sort of kicks in from, we'll call it 2 weeks before Memorial Day through the 4th of July, and then that may not be a great time. Then maybe I would say wait till the off season. But right now you're in the winter, in my opinion. Week for prep. Yeah, that's good. That's what you want to hear. Yeah, it's see, you're going Celsius on me. I don't know how to convert that, Jeffrey. Ontario, Canada. 30. Here we go. I appreciate that. 33.8 Fahrenheit. Ice that's coming off lake today. Come on, spray. Yeah, that is good. 2:30. Where are the Sea Ray 230 SPXs built 2024? I've gotten conflicting information on this before. And they're not going to tell me, but I had a Sea Ray guy tell me those were built in Mexico. Maybe they changed it. Maybe they peeled those off and put them in the other line. But there'll be a sticker on the boat somewhere. If it's built in Mexico, there is a sticker on it that will tell you. And let's see. Honestly, I'm going to have to look at that the next boat show I go to verify it. I hate to go to Wikipedia. I'm going to go here just to see what they say, but yeah, that's not going to be updated. So all right, Geronimo, if they're telling you that it's the 230s built in Tennessee, go with that. I've received conflicting information at 2 years ago, maybe, that those were built down there as well, but that could change, and maybe I didn't get accurate information because it is nowhere else to be found. Because I looked for it when I was doing my review, my best and worst review on the bow riders and deck boats, like 2 years ago, last year, 2 years ago. Yes, that there's a boat dealer saying that as well, Rod. All right, 211. Yes, Google reviews showed me what my dealer was about. Yeah, yep. Start talking face to face. That gut feel. Okay, so if you're dealing with the depending on where in South Carolina, either Lake Wiley, Lake Norman, Greenville, South Carolina, or Charleston, South Carolina. That is the old dealership that I used to work for. There was or Columbia, which they closed that store down, I believe. But that was the old dealership I worked for. I know the managers at each of those locations. Carl, Andy, Scott, Bruce, I think, is in Charleston, and good, solid management team, good, solid dealers, good, solid general managers for those stores. So if you are looking at those stores, I can speak to those dealers. They're really, really solid. If you're in Myrtle Beach, that's Marine Max still, I think, but I don't know. I don't know the Marine Max team in Myrtle Beach or Wilmington. They were not part of ours. All right, let's see here. What do we got going on? Let's see. We're coming up on 50 minutes here. When you say chaparral as general, are you also adding the? Okay, yeah. So yeah, you're right. The SSI and the SPX, I would say, would be in that mid-tier competing. in that same level. The SSI on Chaparral and the SPX. And I when I did my reviews of the pontoons this year, I took that approach, Matt, where I said, I'm not just going to say Barletta and Bennington. I'm going to actually do a Bennington video and talk about the Q, the R, the S, or Q, R, L, and S. I think I got those right. And I'm going to talk about the different levels and do they build these different from the decking down, or are they all the same from the decking down? And it's just I'll call it the luxury feel from the decking up. And so I think I need to start speaking about that on the bow rider and deck boat side as well, because Chaparral does it, Sea Ray does it. Regal is starting, they're changing their lineup a little bit where they're built the same on their bow rider line anyway. Cobalt, you could say Cobalt kind of does it from their R to their, I guess they call it the 10 series. But where they do things a little bit different on the smaller boats, so they have more of a, I don't want to say a price point boat because it's not a Bayliner, it's not a Tahoe, it's not a Stingray, but it's not built the same way as their top of the line are, which makes sense, right? It's a smaller boat. It's probably not going to endure the same level of rough sea conditions, the rough chop, and they're trying to make it affordable as they can, putting a quality product they can stand behind. So I just retired 37. There you go. Buying into the business, letting my older brother semi-retire. Spoke a couple years back. I thought that was the case. Okay. Yeah, the Sea Dories are another nice one. The Parker, when you're looking at pilot houses, for sure. Thanks, I appreciate that. That is always helpful. Ottawa had a boat show this weekend. It was fun. Yeah, you can't beat a boat show. Boat shows are just so much fun. Wiggle room on a 2023 252 SE. So, Danny, the way Yamaha does their boats is, call it nationally advertised price, market advertised price, and the price is the price that you're going to pay, plus shipping, prep, taxes, and fees, right? So that's the way Yamaha sells their boat. When you go to Yamaha 252 SE 20, I'm gonna put it in 2024 because I want to talk about the difference when you're looking at a 23. So when you look at it, come on now. Starting at 93,299. Now, when you build these out, you're not building much. You can add some accessories like covers and dock lines, but the boat is pretty much the boat, okay? And when you see this, manufacturer suggested price does not include freight, delivery, prep, other dealer fees. So when I was selling these boats in 2010 and 11, 12 and 13, our dealer prep freight and all of that was 1,800 bucks. We'll call it 1,800 bucks even. That was what we added. So that number has definitely gone up. I saw the other day that somebody was adding $5,000 to it. Now, when I was selling, Yamaha capped it. So they said, you can't charge more than this for that dealer prep rigging fee. Okay. So that's what you're seeing on a 24. Most dealers are going to sell at that price, and they're just not going to budge because it's not a very hefty margin. It's fairly thin actually relative to the other brands that they carry. If they didn't add, depending on what they add for that fee, that number is about, we'll call it 15% margin for the dealers. Okay. When they add that on, it might get up to 18 or so. Okay. So they're already at 15, but it's a 23. So we know that they're going to be happy to sell that boat plus prep on a 24. That 23 is starting to get expensive. Interest and curtailment payments are likely coming into play, and they are likely not happy about it. So I would think if you went in with a 10% discount off the price of the 24, there I would be shocked. I would be shocked, Danny, if they accepted it. But if they did, you're getting a hell of a deal. Okay. But it's also not so aggressive that they're going to be like, forget it, Danny. You're not even serious about it. So that's what same thing with brokerage boats is anytime you're going to start the conversation on price is you want to be as aggressive you can and get to a point where they're just not going to accept it, but you're also not offensive. So I think 10% is close to offensive, but it's a 23 and they want to get rid of it. If they've got a whole bunch of 23s, it's not going to be offensive. They still aren't going to accept it, but if they only have one 23, you're getting on the border of offensive, but that's okay. It's still in line. They can counter back with you and you go. I would say another 5% off would probably be about right, depending on what their inventory level is sitting, and specifically what's their inventory on those 252s. You know, if they've only got one of those and they only have one 2024, well, then there's not a whole lot of wiggle room. But if they're sitting on four of those 252s that are 23s, now that 10% is like, well, shoot, you got to sell four more of these before you can move on to the 24s. And if you get too close into the season, you're not going to be able to hold full margin on those either and get your full prep and rigging fee. Okay. So hopefully that's helpful for you, Danny, to give you a little inside baseball, having sold that brand specifically. But knowing things have changed slightly since then. After the pandemic, things changed for sure. If you want a boat you want, and if you want the boat you want, buy when inventories are higher or order. Good deals in the winter, but you might be conceding features you truly want. Buy once, use the boat for 20 years. Yeah, Dan, that's a really interesting point about, boats get much, much less expensive if you hold them for longer periods of time. Like when you look at the depreciation, they go down pretty quick, but it really flattens out over 10, 15, 20 years. And making the true cost of ownership a lot less, because a boat in good running condition is always going to have value. And if you maintain it properly, you're going to know what's going on with it. That's a great way to limit it. On the other hand, I just saw a comment from somebody the other day that it was on a Bennington post that they say I upgrade every 2 years because when I want to sell it when it still has warranty on, so it's easier to sell. And then I buy my new one. I know I'm going to take a $20,000 hit, but I like to not have to worry about it. I like to not have to get into any serious maintenance. It's worth it for me. So everybody's buying out of a different pocketbook and a different value system. But yeah, holding it for a long time, that hits home with me personally. But my pocketbook also isn't big enough to buy new every 2 years, like some people are. My father-in-law is that way with trucks. Every year or two, he's got a new F-150. Now he's got an F-250, but that's what he likes, and he's got the pocketbook to do it without a problem, and that makes sense for him. Why are the stickers on the boat telling where they made? They're typically on the Sea Rays. They put them on the transom somewhere. Let me see if there's a Sea Ray sticker. Because I was really surprised I saw one a couple years ago. Sea Ray. I'll go with the 190 SPX 2021. If I was better organized, I'm sure I took a picture of it, but yeah, I don't think I'll be able to. We'll see if we can go into a listing and my guess there is the chance that some of those get peeled off as they get taken. But if I remember right, you see this prop sticker right here. It was right in that area. So you've got the, hey, there's a sharp prop spinning around here. Don't get close to it. There's the carbon monoxide warning sticker. It was in those, if I remember right. And I don't think that we'll find that sticker, but that's where it was when I saw it, and it was a couple years ago. I don't remember seeing. I didn't expect Bow Riders this year yet, so I haven't seen it this year. So wish Marine Max would come over to the Northwest. They will. I mean, Marine Max, One Water. There's a number of acquisitions happening every month, and Marine Max, One Water is Marine Max rebrands everybody Marine Max after a transition period of going ABC dealer, ABC Marine, a Marine Max dealer for the first 2 years. And the third year, they switch it all the way over to Marine Max. One Water keeps the original branding of the dealership. So Rambo Marine is an example that they're a One Water Marine, One Water dealership, but they keep the branding of Rambo. Marine Sales has acquired a couple of dealers over the last handful of years. There's a few groups that are buying and acquiring, so that it's not quite to the level of car dealerships, but like where there's a Cox Automotive or a Hendrick Automotive, but there's certainly consolidation happening, and there's dealership owners are getting older, and the second and third generations and fourth generations aren't always wanting to come on board the family business, and they're finding that they can get a big enough payday, especially if they own the land. They can get a big enough payday to sell out, and that's a better option for the family than to have the third and fourth generation that doesn't really have their heart into it to take over the family business. So those acquisitions are happening more and more. Yamahas are a lot cheaper than Chaparrals. SSIs are 100. Yeah, it's but again, the Yamaha build is mid-tier. They're solid middle of the mid-tier when you look at the quality of construction. I would say the SSI, although it's in the mid-tier, it'd be slightly ahead. Slightly ahead. And that 100K includes a trailer. They include trailers with all their boats. Now, there's no real canvas cover to speak of. It's a plastic travel cover with some felt in it. So you can use it for a couple of years and get by. But one of the reasons Yamaha kept their costs down is because they don't do options. They get color, and that's it. Like when you go to build a boat, you're adding accessories. You're adding dock lines and fender type stuff. You're not adding this stereo system or this upgrade or that adjustment. They're just cranking these boats out in a very efficient manner, which allows them to keep the cost down a little bit. Which outboard is better, Yamaha or Mercury? They're the same. Okay. They're the same. Mercury has a reputation of building for innovation and speed. Yamaha has the reputation for building for reliability and longevity. Okay. When you compare them, over time, they've each had some turds. The Optimax and the 99 to '03 about ballpark. The HDPI in the what was it like '03 to '06 when they had corrosion issues in their midsections. The Optimax they were blowing power heads because of their oil injection system. They're just different things that they did. But in the last 20 years, they've just both been really, really solid. And it's a what were you brought up with? Maybe there's some categories where one's better than another in like horsepower bands, but when it comes to reliability, eh, you can nitpick one thing over another, but they may be a slightly better here and the other one slightly better there. So I'm going to say it's a push. And you'll get that from. I mean, I did a video. Um, I did a video. Yamaha versus Merc. I did a whole video on it because I knew it would get views, 120,000 views. But the bottom line is get the one that has a good technician in your area that has capacity. And that's the one. It's the same conversation as with what brand is right. Get the one that has the best technician support in your area. That's going to be convenient and is going to be have capacity to get you in, and that's going to be probably the best one. Would imagine the reason being because Yamaha builds their own motor, has to pay for engines. Yeah, that's part of it. That's part of it. They've got some pretty good scale on building those Yamaha engines, and they're building them for their jet skis. They're building them for their boats. Let's say call it 6,000 boats, but 50,000 jet skis. So they're building 100,000 engines, and they're doing that all in house. There's certainly some efficiencies there for sure, Bo. Yeah, Ford Chevy. Yep, 100%. Is his F-250 no? It's not the no, I don't think it's the diesel. Love that truck. Yeah, he's he is. My father-in-law is like 66-ish. He's a financial advisor, so he doesn't need it for his day-to-day. But they do have a farm, and so he hauls around some tractors and some heavy equipment. But he just likes it. He hasn't towed anything that his old F-150 wouldn't tow. But they brought it down. They were in town a couple weeks ago, and they drove that. They went to their lake house in Tennessee, stopped by here before heading up to West Virginia. And I'm almost certain it was gas. It didn't sound like a diesel when it was running, but it didn't smell. Yeah, I'm almost certain it was gas. And so he's just got it because he wants a big, bad truck like all of his. He's big into hunting. And so he hunts up in Canada where those guys are like, they're really serious working trucks, and they've all got F1 or F-250s. And I think that's why he went that direction. He's not towing it enough to really need it. Outboard with it. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Rod, 100%, 100%. 100%. Rather have a Mercury. And Derek is in the Midwest. There is definitely a bias. Mercury skews more freshwater. Yamaha skews more saltwater. And so what you find is that if you go to the coast, if you go to the saltwater environment, somebody's grandpappy had a Mercury that crapped out on him. And Mercury got a bad reputation in the 70s and 80s in the saltwater. You go to the Midwest, freshwater, a lot of bass boats, a lot of aluminum boats have Mercuries on them, and they tend to be more Merc focused. They're built in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. And we don't want no Japanese motor on my boat. Was the 60s, 70s, 80s, even though there was a time when they were the same, right? When they moved to four strokes, but that sort of bias that like Bo said, the Chevy Ford debate, that bias has carried over for decades and decades because Grandpa said never get a Merc. Grandpa said stay away from Yamaha, and that's just all carried forward. But when you look at it without those blinders on, it's really hard to put one over the other in any particular category. Yamaha coming up in inland areas, Merc country, yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, and it's just like Jason 211's got a center console on Lake Cumberland in Kentucky 10 years ago. You would have never one. You wouldn't have been able to find a dealer to sell you one, but you just wouldn't have seen a center console on a freshwater lake. Now, because those center consoles are coming, there's more Yamahas on the backs of that style of boat, and they're both have made pushes from time to time to get into the other market to cross over, and it's happening. And boats are changing, styles are changing. You wouldn't have seen pontoons at the coast. Well, a lot of those pontoons had Mercs on them. Vice versa, a lot of the center consoles have Yamahas on them, and so you're seeing the technicians crossover. So now we got to send our techs to Yamaha school, got to send our coastal techs to Merc school, and that's been happening. Tundra gets 23rd, 12 to 13. Yeah, I love those Tundras, man. Much better than my Ram and F-150. Yeah, I've had the Ram, and I had the F-150s, but I've never had a Tundra. But I do like them. I like them a lot. Genuinely believe perfected it so well. Little room for improvement. Yeah, you know, uh, Saint's got a great point. Is the manufacturing specs are the precision that they can build stuff now is, I mean, down to the 0.0001 of variance, right? So if you're at a variance, it's just a minute thing. It's why the break-in periods are, it used to be you had to do that break-in period for a long period of time. And you had to change the oil with, the first 5 hours or 10 hours because there's all these metal shavings because parts were sort of fitting themselves where they needed to go. And now it's like a glove, and they're just the tolerance are so minute. The they've just got it dialed in to a level where, hey, if they've been running that engine for 2 or 3 years, they've got the kinks worked out, and that thing's gonna be pretty reliable. And if it's not, like, I will say the Mercury Pro XS has had some issues in the past couple of years. When they on some of the, I don't know the horsepower specifically, but some of them have been having some issues. I'm talking Mercury four strokes to Yamaha four strokes, are have just been dialed in. A lot of Mercs. Yeah, yeah, that's um, the Lund, Low, all the Brunswick brands are always going to have black on the back of them, right? They're always going to have that Merc on the back. Those are a lot of the boats that you see up in the Midwest, and up in Canada. Yes, Herb, 100%. Suzuki, again, I would put them real close, if not equal to, the Mercs and the Yamaha, and they are making a push into the repower market, kind of getting people onto the brand. And now you're starting to see more manufacturers picking up Suzuki, as an OEM option for their boats. There was several boats at the dealership or at the boat show that the whole booth was Suzuki, and Suzuki's paying money to make that happen. They're saying, listen, if you only show Suzuki at the boat show, we'll co-op, 20, 30, 40, 50% of your booth space for the boat show. And that's some real money. That's 10, 15, $20,000 in some cases. And Suzuki is trying to grab market share. And frankly, I think they're doing a pretty good job at it, and they have a pretty solid product to support it for sure. Looking at 20s, F-250s, they get close to 25 on the highway. Um, yeah, yeah, Brock's in Charleston, and seeing Suzuki's there. I was at the Charlotte Boat Show where I saw it most recently, but I did see it. Where was I when I saw a big booth that I was surprised had Suzuki on it. Um, Maybe it was Greenville, South Carolina, but anyway, yeah, for sure. And they're, I'm talking to captains, charter captains that, they'll put on 5, 6, 700 hours a year because they're running their boats 5 days a week. And when they repower, it's, for a $5,000 difference to repower a 250, especially when you're putting twins on it, it's real hard to spend an extra 10 grand just to have a Yamaha on it when the Suzukis are doing you well, and they're repowering to Suzukis. Yeah, same. Yeah, exact same thing. Volvo and Merc. One thing that they did is they went down different paths with their engine. So Volvo's still using the GM blocks. Mercury is forging their own. Mercury's building all their own outboards, and so they've got that technology and that skill in house, all that infrastructure. So they're going down this path. Volvo said we're gonna hitch our wagon to the auto industry having the best innovation. Merck said the marine industry is just different enough that we're going to go down this path because we think the auto industry is going to get too far out of line from what we need as boaters. That was in what 2016, I think, something like that. So far they've been staying in line. Like one decision hasn't significantly outweighed the other. One area where I think Volvo has made the smart decision is making everything close cooled. Every standard close cool out the gate might be because it's an auto engine and it's just easier to do that. I don't know for sure, but that would be a guess on my part. A little biased towards Merc. They're easier to service. Yeah, and again, what you grew up with, it's a big difference. What you're used to working on, a big difference. Honda, fine. Yeah, I would say Suzuki is close. Honda, maybe it's just because they don't build as many. Um, I don't have the few experiences I've had with Honda, and it's this is a 15-year-old experience. Um, one of them blew had a low cylinder for what seemed like no reason. The boat was running great. Compression was good. Ran it a couple of times, and nothing happened that I'm aware of. Started running off, pulled compression again, and now there was low compression on one of the cylinders. And it was probably a 09, 10, 11, something like that. And you couldn't fix it. You had to put a whole new power head on because you couldn't sleeve it and you couldn't do any of the cheaper fixes on the Hondas. So and again, that's 10-year, 15-year-old memory experience that I had, but that still carries with me, biasing me against the Hondas, which I know they've done some improvements and they've changed the technology. So when I first got our boat, before I fully broke in the engine, I floored it. Couldn't help myself. Hadn't had any issues. It'll be fine. So there's a difference, Matt, between putting the hammer down for a minute or two and running it wide open throttle for 20 minutes. So, and you'll even see, in the first, I don't know, typically in the first 5 hours, they say no open throttle or wide open throttle. but they also don't want you to idle it for, more than 5-10 minutes during that time either. What they're really looking for is a fluctuation in RPMs. So they're looking for it to always be fluctuating so that it doesn't just run at the same RPM for, more than 10, 15, 20 minutes. They want you to vary it by at least 500 RPM is kind of typical. So if you put the hammer down for a minute or two, you're going to be totally fine. If you did it, and you were just hauling for 20 minutes, that's might shorten the longevity of the boat, but I doubt if that's what you did. One key factor outboard reliability is initial setup and rigging. Leave the dealer, paper factory specs. Yeah, part of what we talked about. Who was that? Mike. I think Mike had the 239 Ultra, the Sea Hunt. That, hey, say it'll be a week to prep it. Part of their prepping, make sure that baby is propped right. Make sure that they're hitting the right RPM limits at wide open throttle. Make sure that we're idling in the right RPM zone, and make sure all those tweaks and adjustments are made. And that's going to be another key factor to the longevity of that boat for sure. Yeah. Been a Merc last 17 years, bought a Volvo. Trouble for my last boat. My guess is that it will be the new Volvos. My father-in-law's Cobalt has what is it, a 2018 with the Volvo, and it's smooth. It sounds great. I always grew up with Merc Cruiser. We had Mercs on Merc Cruisers on all of our boats growing up. Mercury outboard on the first one, but Merc on the 18-footer, on the 22, on the 26, and always Merc Cruiser. Old Merc Cruiser as a Sea Ray dealer, but running that Volvo, it's nice. It's very, very nice. Yeah, yeah, and I think they'll continue to do so. 2 years. Yeah, it's history now, and looking good. So, nice. All right, guys, we're at an hour 20 minutes. We had a good conversation. If you're buying a boat, grab the toolkit, boatbuyerstoolkit.com. If you are a new boat owner and you're looking for a little bit of guidance, a little insight, grab the Boater Boot Camp, boatersbootcamp.com, and you can grab those. If you are struggling with docking, check out our best boat captains. We got all the versions available. Trailer Like a Pro, Confident Coastal Boater, Tow Water Sports with Confidence. And I still need to get the ski and wakeboard with ease, Boat Buyers Academy, and the Magic Money Saving Method. And we've got a ton of nice Google reviews out there. I think everything is 5 stars, and I think we're zeroing in on 100. Let me check that. Boater's secret weapon. If not, I need to get to 100. 77. So we got 77 Google reviews, 5 stars, and let's see. Okay, there we go, Adam. So we got some good ones. Always appreciate the support and sharing your experience, for sure. Let's see here. I'm going to call it quits. Amazing. All the outboard manufacturers, regardless of the brand. Yeah, that is critical, as well as the technology that they are compatible with is something to consider now. Kings of the City, have a great week. Talk to y'all next week. Thanks, Rod. Appreciate you being on. Matt, Bo, Dan, thank you guys. Have a great week, and we will talk to you on Sunday. See you, everybody.